Welcome to CrashMagic. In this video we're going to take a look at one of my favourite card tricks by one of my favourite magicians. So this one is called Neither Blind Nor Stupid by the great Juan Tamariz. It's related to some of his other card tricks with similar names, and in the Card College series of books they actually refer to this trick as TNT. I'll start by showing you my performance of this effect, and immediately after is then a tutorial so you can learn it. We have two spectators with us today then for this card trick, Spectator 1 and Spectator 2. And the first thing that I'd ask Spectator 1 to do is, can you cut the cards and complete the cut? So it's fair to say you could have cut the cards anywhere, so I have no idea, and I'm sure you have no idea either what this card here is. But Spectator 1, if you could take this card, and Spectator 2, if you could take this card. Now Spectator 1, if you could look at and remember your card, and then place it back on the pack, and Spectator 2, if you could do the same, look at and remember your card, remember it and place it back on top of here. So Spectator 1, you could have cut that pack any way you liked. So is there anything I could possibly know about the cards that you've chosen and remembered? No? Well, actually there is, because I'm not blind and I'm not stupid. I saw that you selected your cards and put them back on top of the pack, so I know your two cards are here, right on top of the pile. So let's sort that. Spectator 2, could you take the cards, cut the cards and complete the cut? So the cards are no longer on top. Is there anything now I could possibly know about your cards? No? Well, yes there is, because I watched you cut the cards. So even though I don't know exactly where they are, I know they're roughly in the middle of this pile now. So Spectator 1, could you cut the cards and complete the cut this time? But this time, and I'll look away as you do it. Okay, I'm looking away. If you can cut the cards and complete the cut. You done? Good. So, promise I wasn't watching, so is there anything now I could possibly know about your two cards? No? Well, yes there is. Because even though I have no idea where in the pack your cards are, I do know that your cards will still be right next to each other. So let's do something about that. I'm going to deal the cards into alternate piles like this. And of course, because your two cards are somewhere in this pack next to each other, by dealing the cards into two piles like this, that means one of your cards will go into this pile and one of your cards will go into the other pile. Let's just quickly complete this. There. So now, other than the fact that I know one of your cards is in this pile and one of your cards is in this pile, is there anything now I could possibly know about your cards? No? Well, yes there is, because your cards were together when I started dealing them into two piles. So even though I have no idea what your cards are or where they are, I do know that if one of your cards is, just say for example 10 cards down in this pile, then I know that the other card must be maybe 9 or 10 or 11 cards down in this pile. So let's sort that out. Spectator 1, could you take the cards, make sure you don't flash the cards to me, and give the cards a good shuffle. And Spectator 2, if you could take this pile and shuffle the cards. So now, is there anything I could know about your cards? No? No, there isn't. There's nothing I could know. Spectator 1, you cut the cards at the start. You could have cut anywhere. You've looked at and remembered your cards. Since then, you've both cut and completed the cut of these cards a number of times. You've now both shuffled these cards. There is nothing I could know about your cards. But I'm now going to attempt to find your cards. Now, you've both handled all these cards, but in general you've been shuffling the cards or cutting the cards, so you've only really been touching the edges of these cards. The only cards that you've actually touched with your fingers on both sides is the cards that you selected. So I'm going to attempt to find your cards by the sense of smell. Here we go then, with this pile here. I think this card. And with this pile, I think this card here. Okay, spectator 1, what was your card? Your card was the 2 of clubs. And there's the 2 of clubs. Spectator 2. Now, your card, was it the 10 of hearts? No? Oh, it was the 10 of diamonds. Well, luckily for us, there's the 10 of diamonds. Well, that was my performance of Neither Blind Nor Stupid, and I hope you enjoyed it. The things I really like about this trick is, of course, it's really good if you've got 2 spectators. The other thing is the 2 spectators are both very involved in the trick. They get to handle the cards quite a lot during the performance. And finally, the other thing that's really nice with this trick is it is so easy to learn and perform. The only real downside with the trick is there is a lot of setup involved. You have to set the whole pack up, and the way you do that is in alternate red-black order. Now, of course, this only takes 30 seconds to do or something like that, but you obviously can't do this in front of a spectator. So you either need to leave the room for 30 seconds or have your pack already set up like this. Now, once you're ready to begin, you can of course do some false cuts or shuffles as long as you maintain the order of the cards. Or sometimes I think it's just enough to casually cut the cards a few times as you're talking to the spectators about the trick and introducing it to them. To begin then, you'll ask one or both of your spectators to cut the cards and complete the cut. Of course, this doesn't change the order of the cards in any way, they're still all red-black. And so once they've done that, you ask your first spectator to take the top card and your second spectator to take the second card. You then ask them to look at and remember their cards. So in this case we've got the 9 of clubs and the Queen of hearts. And then the important thing is to get spectator 1 to place their card back on top of the pack, and then spectator 2. Now, of course, this is really the key to the whole trick, because you've got a whole pack in red black order, and then you've now got the 2 selected cards in the opposite order. Because spectator 1 took the top card and spectator 2 took the second card, when you got them to return, you got them to return them with spectator 1 first, then spectator 2, so now they're in the opposite order. And so really now we're about 10% of the way through the trick, and the trick is really done. It's self-working from here. So as a magician now, it's so nice that really the trick is done and you can concentrate on the performance and just ensuring that these cards don't get mixed in a way that they shouldn't. So at this point you would ask your spectators if there is anything that you could possibly know about the cards they'd selected, being as that they had cut the cards at any point. Now, of course, what you're hoping the spectators to say is, no, there's nothing you could possibly know about the cards, at which point you could say, yes, because I'm not blind and I'm not stupid and I saw you put your cards on top of the pile here. But it doesn't matter, of course, if they say, yes, there is something that you know, because you can just agree with them and say, yes, I know your cards are on top, or likewise for the audience interaction you can question them and say, what is it that I know about your cards? And they will probably say, yeah, the cards are on top. So then you ask one of your spectators to cut the cards and complete the cut. So now you question them again, is there anything that I could know about your cards? Again, they might answer no, they might answer yes. Either way, you say, yes, there is something that I know about your cards, and that is that I know they're roughly in the middle because I watched you cut the cards. So then you ask probably the other spectator to cut the cards and complete the cut again, but make a big thing of the fact that you're not watching this time, you can't see, and ask them again, is there anything that you could know about their cards? Again, however they answer, you explain to them that although you didn't watch them cut the cards and you don't know where they are in the pack, you do know that they're still together somewhere because they were together at the start. Now the next step in the trick is to deal the cards into alternate piles. And of course the reason you give your spectators for doing this is that you want the 2 cards that are together somewhere in this pile to be one in one pile, one in the other. Now you can give your spectators the cards at this point and ask them to do this step. The only thing you've got to be wary with, it's important that they do deal the cards into the alternate piles. If they get this wrong, the trick will go wrong. And so if you watch Juan Tamariz's performance of this, he does get the spectator to do this dealing, but he makes it very clear to them, make sure that you deal in alternate piles. And the reason he gives for that being so important is that, oh, your two cards are together and we want to be sure that one's in this pile and one's in the other. Personally, I think I'd rather do this step myself to ensure that the cards are correctly split. So once we have the cards dealt into alternating piles, we can ask our spectators if there's anything we can know about their cards. Again, irrelevant of their answer, we say yes, there is something we know, and that is that we don't know where your cards are, but we do know that whatever the position of one of the cards in this pile is, the other card will be in a similar position in this pile. Now, just as a check to show you the condition we're in here, of course what we've got is all red cards in this pile, apart from the black card that was selected, and all black cards in this pile apart from the red that was selected. Of course the spectator has no idea of this at all. So the final step for the spectators to do is you ask them to shuffle their piles. Now again, the key thing while they're shuffling their cards, they can shuffle them as much as they want, but it's obviously really important that they don't turn the cards over and see this situation that we're in. So again, the way Juan Tamariz tends to do that spectator management is to say, be careful when you're shuffling that you don't flash the cards so that I can see them. So once both piles are shuffled, of course it simply is a matter of just looking through and picking out that odd card. Now again, in Juan Tamariz's performance, he does this thing of using a sense of smell, which I think is quite a nice way of doing it, because that gives you an excuse to bring the cards up to your nose as if you're smelling the cards, whereas really all you're doing each time is looking at the cards and looking for that odd coloured card to bring out and place down. And again with the other pile, of course, look through the cards, pretend that you're smelling the cards and bring out the different coloured card and place it down. Now again, you've got all red cards and black cards here, so one of two things: either you want to put these cards out of the way where the spectators can't get to them, or probably more what I would do is, as you've found the two selected cards, just give these cards a nonchalant quick shuffle and put them to the side, so that if a spectator suddenly does grab them and have a look, there's nothing then to see. So then it's just a matter of revealing the two cards. Now, because of how the cards have been cut and shuffled, you don't actually know which spectator has which card. So probably the best way to handle this is ask your first spectator what their card was. What was your card? And they'll tell you. And I can't actually remember which was which, but let's say the first card, let's say their card was the 9 of clubs. I can't remember which it was, but if it was the 9 of clubs, they say my card was the 9 of clubs. And you can of course reveal the 9 of clubs. You then can ask your second spectator what their card was and show that you found that card as well. Or of course you don't need to ask them for this one because you know this is their card, you can just show that that's their card. Or one final twist that Juan Tamariz again does in his performance is he will on purpose misname the card for just an extra twist. So he will, in this instance for example, say, without showing the card, oh, and your card was the Queen of Diamonds. Of course they will say no, and so you say what was your card? They'll say the Queen of Hearts and say, well luckily we've got the Queen of Hearts as well. So that then is neither blind nor stupid, and that is the end of the video. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.